We have some major breaking news. It has been officially announced that Steve Phelps has been officially named the first commissioner of NASCAR. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said, we got some pretty massive major breaking news this morning, as it has been announced that Steve Phelps has been officially named the commissioner of NASCAR, becoming the first person to hold that new role. Here was what was announced today. NASCAR today announced the appointment of Steve Phelps as commissioner of NASCAR, the first to be named to this newly created role, overseeing all aspects of America's top motorsport, including the International Motorsport Association, that being IMSA, and all 15 NASCAR-owned and operated tracks. Additionally, Steve O'Donnell, longtime industry leader and current chief operating officer, will succeed Phelps in the critical role of NASCAR president, and he will become the new president of NASCAR with day-to-day leadership of all three NASCAR National Series and the commercial media and track operations. Both roles are effective immediately and will be based in Daytona. Here's what Steve Phelps and everyone said about including Jim France. "We are thrilled to name Steve Phelps as NASCAR's first commissioner. His leadership, professionalism, and well-earned respect from across the sports industry speak to his unique value for the sport. With more than 50 years of expertise between them, both Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell bring tremendous expertise, stability, and a commitment to the bold racing initiatives and innovations that will continue to serve fans, teams, and stakeholders for many years to come." Here's what Steve Phelps said about this opportunity. "I'm honored to take this next step in helping to guide NASCAR, the sport I've loved since my father took me to my first race at 5 years old, continue to grow and welcome new fans, competitors, and partners to get together, create some of the most extraordinary moments in sports. I cannot thank the France family enough for their unwavering commitment to our fans, their steady leadership, and most importantly, their stewardship of stock car racing since its inception nearly 8 decades ago. The sport is truly one of the great American business stories, and I'm privileged to continue as part of the legacy and its bright future." Here's what Steve O'Donnell said about the partnership. "In my 30 years of NASCAR, I've been more inspired by the passion of race fans and tracks across the country. It has been a privilege to help bring our sport to those fans through incredible new venues and innovative, engaging content that showcase the best racing in our storied history. I believe we're the best in the world at creating bucket list events that merge sports and entertainment with tailgating, camping, and the most immersive fans experience in sports. I'm honored to continue that mission and build upon the collaboration and innovation with our teams and partners to deliver the best racing sports fans everywhere." This is obviously a really, really major deal because we have never in the history of NASCAR had a commissioner in the sport. We've had presidents and we've had CEOs. Obviously, Steve Phelps for, I believe, the last 5 or 6 years has been the president of NASCAR. Originally had been Mike Helton for many, many years. He moved to a different role not too long ago, and I believe Steve Phelps took over as president around 2017 to 2018, while Steve Phelps has been the COO of the sport over the course of the last couple of years, and now he'll move to the presidency of the sport. I'm going to be honest here about this situation with Steve Phelps coming in and being the new guy who's going to be the commissioner. I really hope this is a good thing. I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it because I do think that Steve Phelps, in some senses, he does have good intentions for the sport. I think he does want to see the sport succeed. But I also think that some of the decisions that have come from the sport, with him being in charge in some areas, haven't been the best. And I think there's been a lot of criticism thrown Steve Phelps' way. Now, I will say when it comes to the sport now compared to when guys like Brian France ran the sport, I do think a sport at least is in a little bit of a better place, but I do think there's a lot of areas where the sport really needs to take that next step when it comes to things like horsepower. And I think the big thing for Steve Phelps, and I think the job that he is going to have, is will he be able to listen to what the fans want? And I get that if everything the fans want is not going to be possible, right? But I really hope that with Steve Phelps coming in and taking over charge of being the commissioner of the sport, I hope he can do a really, really good job in that role. Because personally, I do like Steve Phelps. Again, I don't think that Steve Phelps has done everything absolutely correctly as a guy who's been running as the president of the sport. But I do think one thing about Steve Phelps is that he's someone who is a people person. Say what you want to say about like Brian France. He was never like a people's person. I would say that Steve Phelps is a guy who will talk to the fans and basically will engage with the fans. And maybe you don't agree with everything he stands for, and I don't always agree with everything that Steve Phelps stands for. But I think that there is a chance and possibility possibly that the sport can be in a better place with someone that can be there with the fans. Again, I don't agree with all the decisions that have been made by this sport. Some of the things that he did say about the manufacturers, which it does sound like we may be getting a new manufacturer in the sport here very soon, with Dodge and even Honda now being rumored to be coming into NASCAR, or Dodge coming back, I should say, with the rumor to be in the truck series. He kept mentioning that, and it sounds like that's going to happen. And then, of course, you have Steve O'Donnell, which Steve O'Donnell, I have my thoughts on Steve O'Donnell. I personally don't know how he's going to be as the president of the sport. I just don't know, because there's been a lot of questionable decisions that Steve O'Donnell has made over the years. He was behind bringing the caution clock to the truck series in 2016, along with Brian France, which I think we all know our thoughts about the caution clock, which technically we've kind of gotten the caution clock with the stages coming in and the stage cautions happening. I just don't know where the sport is going to go at this point, but it just shows that the business model in the sport is also changing in a pretty big way too. When you think about this move, we know that NASCAR is in a lawsuit currently at the moment with 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports, which that lawsuit is moving forward. And I think one of the reasons that you're seeing a commissioner come into play and changes like this come into play is I think they're wanting to go ahead and make these changes because of the lawsuit going on between them, 2311 and Front Row. I also think one thing that might end up happening as well, Steve Phelps has mentioned this many, many times, but they also are looking to do international expansion. We know there's been a lot of rumors about NASCAR going to Brazil for 2026. It does sound like we're likely going to Bowman Gray for the Clash, but there have been rumors of them going to Interlagos, I believe, for next year. We know there's a lot of talk and a lot of rumors and speculation that Canada is going to host a race for the Truck Series and Xfinity Series next year at Montreal, and then of course they're going to go in 2027 with the Cup Series. And now there's even been rumors and speculation that NASCAR could go to Saudi Arabia as early as 2028 or 2029, it sounds like, which I'm not a big fan of that. I get NASCAR wants to go international, but I'm not a big fan of going to Saudi Arabia considering some of the stuff they stand for, and I don't think some of the stuff they stand for is really, really good. So I personally think that with this move, I hope that this sport can go in a better direction and things can actually get done. I really hope that we can see big changes in the sport with Steve Phelps coming in. Are we going to see that? I don't know, but I hope in the future when it comes to like people in big roles, I hope it's people that actually have driven in the sport too, like a Dale Jr. gets involved and becomes one of the higher ups in the sport. So I think if Dale Jr. is running the sport, I think he'd be someone that could do a good job and get the sport in a much better position. I'm not sure how this is going to work for the teams, though. I'm not sure how many people in the industry are going to feel. You can see the reactions on social media, and I think seeing a lot of people that are not very happy with Steve Phelps coming in and being the commissioner now, which I can't blame the fans for being it because I have a lot of questions about Steve Phelps coming in. I hope, though, in regards to Steve Phelps, he can do a really good job and can do a good job in that role as commissioner. Is he? I'm not sure at this point, but I hope he can do a good enough job and can perform really good as a commissioner. And I hope Steve O'Donnell can do a much better job being the new president, but I'm not sure if he's going to do a very good job. But this is a massive day for the sport, all things considered, because we've never had a commissioner. This is going to be the same thing that Roger Goodell does in the NFL, and of course Adam Silver does in the NBA. And then you think about Rob Manfred, which I think Rob Manfred's one of the worst commissioners in the history of MLB, one of the worst commissioners ever, and he's done a lot of bad things. I really hope Steve Phelps doesn't go, maybe goes Adam Silver direction, because I think Adam Silver's actually done a decent job as a commissioner of his sport, but I don't want to see that him be bad. So we'll see what happens. Hope Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell can do good in their roles, but I'm not sure if they're going to do a really good job. Hopefully they can, but I'm not sure how they're going to do, in my honest opinion. So that is going to be today's special breaking news report on Steve Phelps becoming the commissioner of NASCAR. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment below your thoughts below on today's episode. You think Steve Phelps is going to do a good job as commissioner, or are you worried about the long-term future of the sport? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to be taking a look at the entry list for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Darlington for the Goodyear 400, more than likely. We're also maybe going to do Xfinity Series race picks as well and move that up. And then on Wednesday, we should have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. Then, of course, on Thursday, we're going to have the Cup race picks, and we'll take a look at all the throwback paint schemes for this week as well. There's been some good ones revealed, some not so much at this point. Of course, we're going to have content people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Connor Zillich, Junior Motorsports, Eric Almirola, Chandler Smith, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, the lawsuit between 25 front row NASCAR with Michael Jordan, Curtis Polk, Dodge, Ford, Honda, Cletus and Farland, all the good stuff. There's a lot of really good and fun content dropping very soon on the channel. We're going to have a silly season predictions for 2026 dropping very soon as well. And we've got some other really good content that you guys will be seeing on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.